ladies, to Campus Clutch, the podcast where we talk all things culture, creativity, and college life right here at North Carolina A&T State University. I'm your host, Mirah Lachae, and today we've got a special one. You've seen him host just about every major event on campus, you've heard his voice on every mic, and you've definitely felt his energy at any A&T function. He's the official podcast and event host for NCAT, recently ranked the number 2 HBCU host, a proud Spring 25 initiate of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and a Maryland native who's made a huge mark here at A&T. Today, we're going to know the man behind the mic. Welcome to the show, Phil Got It.
What's going on? What's going on? Thank you for having me.
Of course. You've been one of the most consistent and recognizable faces at A&T, but I feel like people should know your voice more than they know you as just the face. So we're going to change that today. For those who might not know the full story, who is Phil Got It beyond the host and personality we see on campus?
That's a great question. First, I'm gonna say this: the intro was really good. You're really good at that. Beyond just being the host, I would say, I'm a brother. Of course, I have my frats. I'm a brother. I'm a friend. I'm a student first, though, because like I said before, I didn't come to A&T to host. I came to A&T to get my education and better myself. I'm also a son, believer, of course. I believe in the Lord. So yes, that's who I am.
Okay. How did the name Phil Got It come about, and what's the story behind it?
All right, so how I got started hosting at A&T, because I've actually been always into public speaking, always into performing. I grew up playing sports. I grew up like in plays and stuff like that in the choir. So for me, we had the SGA host battle last year, not this year, and so I didn't have a name. Like I entered into it, like I just put my actual name, and I'm looking, I'm like people put like their stage names, and I'm like I need a name. So my roommate at the time, and he's my roommate now. We was like, bro, we need to come up with a name. So we sitting on the couch in the dorm, like chat GPT names. We're looking at other people's names, and so how the name really came about, it was just like it kind of just came out like Phil, okay, and then we was like, what would happen if somebody had an event? You'd be like, okay, Phil got it.
Mm.
So and then we knew it kind of hit when my LB, he wasn't my LB then, but we crossed that year. He was like, he came to me after it was over, and he was just like, oh yeah, like I started saying your name. I was like, wait, Phil got it, like, cause he saw that I was winning the competition. So yeah, that's how we knew it was a good name.
Period.
For sure.
When did you realize hosting was your thing, and was there a moment where you said, yeah, this is what I'm meant to do?
For sure. I started. So when I want to say like fourth or fifth grade. So I grew up in Maryland, but I went to school. I grew up in Annapolis, Maryland. That's where I'm originally from. But I went to school in PG County, Maryland. So of course you'll hear people say, like, a lot of people from Maryland after school from PG or from Baltimore. And so the first school I went to was a private school, and it was attached to like a mega church. So every December we had this thing called the Christmas production program. And so the choir director and the director of the program, he was just like, well, we kind of want to try something different. We want to have a host. So at only, however old I was, around fifth or fourth grade, I decided, to host the show. And I was really good at it. I was very charismatic for my age, very funny. But to say like when I really knew it was something I wanted to do was probably in high school. I was in SGA my 12th grade year of high school, and so we had the homecoming dance. Homecoming is a very big thing anywhere, and so the advisor, I had brought up in the meeting. I was like, hey, maybe we should have somebody like host the dance, and so she straight up was just like, well, do you want to host it? And I was like, yeah, and so hosted it, and then just from there, I was hosting. I hosted that. I hosted another event we had on campus. I was hosting people's parties, and then when I came here, I saw like my pro fight. He wasn't my pro fight then, but my pro fight now, Mikey. I saw him do it. I was just like, yeah, this is something I want to do. And so I would say, I think last year was when it became surreal. Like when I just started hosting a lot more consistently. When I had my show, well, I still had my show. Um, Doing that with the school, I was just like, this is something that like I need to be doing. Like I should be doing this after college, and like I belong behind a microphone.
Mm. Do you think that people compare you a lot to Mikey? And I know.
Yeah. Um, and I mean, it's good and bad because he's really good at his job, but I mean, we're the same club. We're both 22 in BE. We almost got the same line name, but I don't look at it as a bad thing. But I will say like he has his style, I have my style. I get inspiration from him. That's like my mentor. We talk almost every week. Um, but I'm Phil. He's Mikey, so I
Mm,
can't be Mikey. I can only be Phil.
that's real. And because you are the official host for A&T,
Mm.
how did that opportunity come about?
So how I how I got that job, it was actually before I started hosting events on campus. So my freshman year, the the A&T page they have posted basically it's like I guess like a job listing. Like they were looking for a very like energetic student, great personality to be able to host like a brand new show that they're trying to do. And so at the time, when they first posted it, I didn't apply for it because I was doing homework, student first. And so I was doing chemistry homework. And so the day after, I was like, all right, I got the work out the way. And so I actually DM'd the page. Page got over, 80,000 followers. I'm thinking nobody's going to respond, but they responded like literally in 10 minutes. They said, yeah, we're still taking submissions, but you have to submit before the end of the night. And so sat there, put on like, a little A&T jacket, and just like kept recording my take. It probably took me like 30 times to record. Not because it really wasn't nothing wrong with any of the recordings, but honestly, I just wanted it to be perfect. Like if I'm already submitted it late, like and they kind of making a way for me to submit it, like I want to make sure it's right. And so ended up getting a DM back. They said, we saw your video. We want you to come to the office so we can speak to you. So I put on the suit, and I'm thinking like they're about to interview me now. So as soon as I walk in the office, I got my suit on. I'm prepared for an interview. My boss now, Miss Tanya Dixon, she's like, "Oh no, like we're giving you the job. Like everybody saw your video, we really like it. Like we think you would be a great fit." And I was just like, "Oh wow!" And so yeah. And then as far as like me hosting events, that came my sophomore year. And so the reason why people think that I got the thing with the school the same year around the time I started hosting events is because the show came out my sophomore year. I had actually got the job my freshman year. So, but because we ran into a lot of different obstacles, we just started shooting my sophomore year.
Mm. With the fact that you've hosted so many events, what has been the most memorable so far?
Hands down, I would say the SUAB talent show I hosted with Deuce last year when we both first started hosting. I would say that first it was only my it was I guess it was like my second or third because if you want to count the competition, but it was only like my second event I hosted on campus, and the crowd. So it was a talent show, and so it was like mostly I think like freshmen in the crowd, but like the turnout was insane, very energetic. Um, and yeah, it was like for it to only have been like my first, or I mean, for it to only have been like my second event, it was just very fun. I
Mm.
think no matter what, until I maybe do like something in Corbett again or something like that, that'll probably be like my favorite event until I
Mm.
graduate. Not gonna lie.
Hmm. Didn't you host the Jiho fashion show as
Yeah,
well?
that was a very good one. Shout out to COP for booking me for that. That was fun. Yeah, I hosted a lot. I hosted their fashion show this year. I hosted it last year. I mean, I'm hosting our Verge show.
Is.
Shout out Verge. Shout out Verge. I'm hosting the Verge show next week.
Stay tuned.
Train like an alpha literally the day after that too. So
Hmm.
I still got a lot of things cooking up this year
Yeah,
or
that's
this
good.
semester, I should say.
That's good. Um, what does it mean to represent A&T through your voice and energy, especially knowing people associate that energy with Aggie pride?
Hmm. I would say just leading by example. Um, I think for me, a constant pressure is knowing that there's so many eyes on me. I mean, even like when I'm walking in the student center or whatever I post, whatever I say, how I host. And so I would just say making sure that I represent the school in the best way possible because, all it takes is for me to do one thing and they'll be like, well, that's the type of students Angie lets into their school or that's the type of person he is or that's what beta epsilon. That's the type of people that they take. And so just knowing that I'm a combination of like so many different organizations, so many different people, my family, my frat, the school, even myself, even my God and things like that. So just making sure I represent myself in the best way possible, and also lead by example because I get so many people, guys, for example, I want to start hosting. People ask me for advice. People ask me for mentorship, and so just making sure I keep, my reputation clean.
Mm-hmm. And do you ever feel like pressure that everybody's watching you even when you're not on the mic?
Oh, for sure. I can feel it. Like I can feel it every day. Well, I'm not gonna say every day, but I could feel it in certain interactions with people. Um, I could feel it when I post. I could even when I'm posting, I might get 500 likes on something, but then it'll be 50 cents, and I'm not thinking about the 500 likes. I'm thinking about the 50 cents, like
Yeah.
who is talking about me, who has seen me, things like that, and that could be good because you never know. Like they say, you never know who's watching, so you never know what opportunity you're gonna get, and that's happened before. But then again, it's like okay, you never know who's saying something about you, who's thinking of maybe your demise or things like that. But at the end of the day, I don't really let it get to me too much, just because it's not good for you. It's not healthy for you. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I've learned to kind of deal with that in healthy ways, honestly.
Hmm. Um, what's something people don't see when it comes to being a host?
Mm, okay. Planning.
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's very general, right? But I'll say it like this. So planning. So it's planning what you're gonna do or how you're gonna say things on stage, but then also like planning an event itself. So I'm not necessarily an event planner, but I've seen event planners how they plan things. And so one thing that I don't like, right, is like people. I'll be honest, right? So people in the student body, they believe that if we want it to happen, it could just happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we want the event to happen, it could just happen. This should just go that way. Like I was a part of SUAB, so before I was a part of SUAB, I had that mentality. I was like, bro, it's A&T. We the biggest, we the greatest HBCU. Why can't we have this happen at this event? Why can't this happen? Well, when you start planning the events, that's not really part of like hosting. That's not really part of the question. But when you start planning events, you start to see like checks and balances to things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, like we got a budget. We can't go over the budget. There's certain things we can't do. There's certain restrictions. You need to get a permit for this. And so, as a host, when you start seeing that type of thing, it lets you know, okay, how do I start hosting this event? Now, as far as actually on stage, planning, like, what am I gonna say? I'm very comedic, so I'm always thinking about, okay, what type of event? All right, we're in Harrison. Okay, is this Verge? Is this Couture? Okay, how am I gonna curate my jokes for this crowd?
Mm-hmm.
Is it younger crowd? Is it sophomores and freshmen? Or is these upperclassmen they ready to go? Is it a pageant? Are the Greeks going to be in a crowd? All that type of thing because people got to understand like there's different demographics. People interpret things differently, and so my biggest thing is always how can I appeal to everybody in the room? How can I appeal to everybody in the crowd? Like hosting for me, like I said, I like being very comedic. So if we're in Harrison, you know, Verse Show, for example, y'all have I think like 5 or 6 different sets. Okay, that's about 5 different times I have to go on stage and entertain people in between those times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what am I gonna say those 5 different times? What music is gonna play? Like, how am I gonna connect with the DJ? Like, there's so many different things that people don't think about. They think hosting is just like you grab the mic, you say it, and people are just gonna laugh and have fun. Like, nah, it don't work like that because there's been times I've said things I ain't get no reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So now I gotta pivot. I gotta find something else. I gotta give a look to the DJ, and I gotta be connected. So it's just so many things people don't understand about hosting, and I think if people knew what actually went into it, they wouldn't. They don't necessarily complain, but they would, I guess, maybe be more appreciative,
Mm-hmm.
and they wouldn't have the mindset of just like, well, it's easy. I could do it, and this is just how it's supposed to be. Like, nah, it's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
It's not how it works.
No, I definitely get it. Like, and I feel like that's just with everything.
Yeah.
Like, even with me starting this, a lot of
It's a lot.
planning.
Like you had to come up with questions. Like
Mm-hmm.
I noticed you said I was from Maryland. A lot of people don't know I'm from Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Like you had to do your research. You had to come up with questions. You You had to possibly book this space.
Mm.
You had to, figure out a time and day. With like people don't know. It's so many different things that go into just doing one thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So I know you said you do a lot of planning, but how else do you prepare for an event and get in the like that zone mentality?
For sure. Um, I would say for me, I would say take a shower, right? So no, first of all, I already take a shower, but even if I took a shower that day, go home, take another one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get my thoughts ready. Then I find something to wear. I feel like as the term goes, you look good, you play good, right? So I'm very big on what I wear. I used to have this slogan like "Funny Supplies Host" because I always was cracking jokes whenever I hosted, and then I always felt like these not very elaborate, but I felt like I always had something good to wear. I would say on a different scale, like maybe weeks or days up, thinking about like my sets, thinking about what am I going to talk about in this break of the show, what am I going to talk about in this break, and then just while I'm like throughout the days, throughout the weeks, envisioning it going well.
Mm-hmm.
So don't have any doubts about am I going to get booed. Don't have any doubts about am I worried about what I'm going to say. Like I would honestly, I'd be daydreaming or I'll be in the car, especially if I'm in the bed, like really thinking about everything that I'm saying, just hitting the experience going well. And then the day of, if I'm on the way to the event before call time, in the car, listening to something, probably Drake. I listen to a lot of like old school rappers too, Jeezy, Ti, just something to like get me in that mode to host. And then connecting with the people who book me. So making sure I get to run a show early, making sure I connect with the DJ early, and all that. Because all that type of stuff, it helps go into my success as a host. And so, because I don't like it when, like, I just don't like being unprepared,
Mm-hmm.
especially for like, I'm gonna bring it up, right? Verse
Okay.
show, y'all events go crazy every time.
Mm-hmm.
Like the turnout is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I've been to two so far. I went to the one. I went to one my freshman year that was spring semester. That was Mikey's last event actually.
Mm-hmm.
That was crazy. And it was so big. Some people were up at the top.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to the one y'all had the one y'all had first semester my sophomore year, and I was P. So I just don't like being unprepared.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to make sure I'm ready, especially my mentality. Like even if I didn't get to run a show, even if I didn't connect with the DJ, as long as I'm like mentally prepared, I'll be okay. But I like to do all those things to make sure I have the best, like I'm as successful as possible for the event.
Yeah, understandable. And how do you keep that motivation going throughout the show?
Hmm. Um. As bad as it sounds, it's like that validation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, like that feeling of when you say something on stage and then you get that laugh or you get like that moment, even if people react and it's like, oh, he said that, or you seeing people have fun, like that's the motivation. As well as like I really love hosting, like I
Mm-hmm.
really love making people feel good. Like I don't do it. I get paid is great, but just like that feeling of making somebody feel good, that having that God given talent to make people feel good, that's what really drives me. But I would say on a different scale, yeah, it's that validation. Like I'm not gonna lie, when that feeling, when you have the mic in your hand and then you just said something and the whole crowd just had a reaction, it's a different type of feeling. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna lie.
No, I definitely get that. Especially like I'm not a host, but well, I'm
You're
not
a
a host
performer.
in your way.
Yeah.
But even like when I perform, or even with this, and people text me like, "Oh, I be watching your
Yeah.
podcast," or "I be seeing your videos."
That support.
That's yeah, like,
Yeah.
and it be so random. I'm like, okay, like let me
For
keep
sure.
going.
Yeah.
So I definitely get
Because
that.
it lets you know like, okay, I'm doing something right.
Right.
Because especially in a space like this or a business like this, it's not it's all about your performance and how people view you.
Mm-hmm.
So when I could honestly have 10 people say, which I've never had, and I'm not saying it to be egotistical, but I could have 10 people say you did terrible. But if one person say, bro, I had a really good time, or what you said on that episode, like I really liked it, like that makes me feel good. Like I
Mm-hmm.
had somebody hit me on TikTok, a student here, and he watched my interview somebody did on me. They did a previous interview on me. He was like, "Bro, I was watching this at work. Like,
Mm-hmm.
your work ethic is insane. Like, I really rock with you, bro." I've had people come up to me after events, be like, we had such a good time." DM me, so that's what matters to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have like any off days, and how do you like get through those off days?
Off days, you mean like days where I don't feel like myself?
Yeah.
Um, prayer.
Mm-hmm.
Prayer is the biggest thing. Talking it out. I think more recently, in certain like I've had certain situations, um, where I've had to be able to talk things out, talk about how I feel, because originally I was like that type of person. Um, talk about it, seek counseling from people, seek you know, people's um people's opinions about how to handle certain things. But then I got kind of closed off, and I think that just came with me becoming a lot busier. Me adopting this mentality of like keeping things to myself. You can handle it on your own.
Mm-hmm.
But then more recently, in the past few, probably like really in the past 2 months, I've learned to like talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, talking about it with people, praying about it, working out, and just honestly taking a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Like take a step back from your friends, take a step back from hosting, take a step back from, you know, maybe even class. Still do my homework, but might have to just stay home, stay in the bed, really think, take a time to rest. Not a time to necessarily like be depressed, but just a time to rest. Like,
Mm-hmm.
the Bible says it's a time for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
And even like you brought up the Bible, even in the Bible, it does tell us to practice Sabbath and like really take a step back
Yeah.
after being so busy. So
Sure.
I just feel like at the end of the day, you're still a human,
Yeah.
and people might look at you like you're just like a machine because
Yeah.
you're so busy and you're doing everything.
Yeah.
But it's good that you're taking that break from doing
For
what
sure.
you usually do.
For sure.
We're gonna take like a quick little pivot.
Mm-hmm.
First off, I do want to say congratulations to being a new member of the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity
Yeah.
Incorporated.
Thank you.
Of course. How has being a member of the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, as well as serving as Mr. 1932 for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated,
Wow.
impact you personally and professionally and shape you as the person you are now?
Wow. You did your research. um, I'm not even sure if I still even have my time on Royal Court even on my page. So you definitely did your research. I mean, I'll start with this. I'll start with Royal Court first because that's what I started. That's kind of how I got my, I guess, sneak peek into Greek life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that was a great experience. Shout out the Alpha Phi chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Um, it was like such a great experience, and honestly, and I told one of them before. I said I credit them for some of my success because in my talent, I actually did comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was in the pageant, people saw that I was funny. It was like, wait, like that means he probably could host. So a lot of people don't even remember that I did that just because how long ago it was. But honestly, it was a great experience. It taught me the importance of just like serving others. I mean, I've always known that, but it kind of reinforced that. And then just the chapter itself, a lot of great girls. I mean, a lot of great women, a lot of great women. A very hardworking chapter, and so I was just very fortunate to be blessed with that opportunity. I mean, I have really, it's nothing else to say except for great things. As far as being a new member into the frat, especially BE. Shout out Beta Epsilon B period. That's just been a great experience. It's a very surreal experience at that. Some days I literally will be like, "You really alpha? Like you really made it." Just because I remember freshman year, going to programs, connecting with members, being uncertain, not knowing if it's my time to cross, and so it's just been such a great experience because the brotherhood.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds very cliche. A lot of dudes say, "I wanted brotherhood," but honestly, like that's a great reason. The brotherhood. I grew up. I didn't necessarily have my brother just because we're so far apart in age, so that by the time a lot of my primitive years came around, he was already out the house,
Mm-hmm.
and so having like pro fights, having my own LBs, those things, having just general frat brothers from other chapters is such a great feeling because you have so many different people to lean on.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love is just like we're all different.
Mm-hmm.
Like my line, so many different personalities, so many different gifts, so many different talents, and so if I need to, if I'm going through something, I can hear so many different perspectives to help me through what I'm going through. I can go to a pro fight for it. I can go to my LBs for it, and so that's just been such a great experience. And so what drew me to the chapter was just really the motto, like excel never equal. I mean, obviously me, one of the top hosts, not only just at the school but in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
We got my pro fight, Miles Norwood, Mr. A&T. We got another pro fight, Corey Smith. He's SGA president.
Mm-hmm.
We got a lot of my bros on my line, great internships,
Mm-hmm.
Goldman Sachs. Like,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of guys just doing a lot of great things. And so, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. But really just stepping into like that excellence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, black men doing great things and encouraging each other.
Mm-hmm.
My freshman year, I mean, obviously you can see how much admiration I have. Like
Yeah.
my freshman year, literally I saw like just a bunch of guys together doing great things on campus, and after they graduate, doing great things in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I ever aspired to do when I came to A&T. Like lead by example, and then after I graduate, handle my business after I graduate. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I loved about this chapter.
Yeah.
What I loved about Alpha, honestly.
Mm-hmm. So I was there at the probate,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
and when you came out, the crowd went crazy to a point where you even went viral on TikTok. How did that make you feel? Like you came out like, yeah, this is me. Like y'all know who I am. So how does that make you feel? Like seeing that?
It was honestly, it was a very surreal moment. I mean, just to walk you through, not even just my moment, but when we marched over to
Mm-hmm.
Corbett, like we marching over to Corbett, and we like passing cars. People are honking their horns.
Mm-hmm.
People are stepping out of their apartment complexes, taking pictures of us, looking at us. And so as we marching, in my head, I'm just like, bro, I'm ready to like, I'm just so ready. And I remember, even me and my LBs, we talk about it sometimes. I remember the host of the probate. She said, and we're at the door, the tunnel that leads into Corbett, because we had to walk downstairs, and then we finally like we're sitting right here at the door,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's literally the gym.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the host saying, "If y'all are ready to see the Ice Cold Brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, make some noise." And the entire gym just like lit up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then I remember when they finally opened the doors and the music is on, people were so loud we could barely hear the music.
Mm-hmm.
So we trying to death march in, but it's like we can barely hear the music. And so everything, I honestly, I can't even say it was a blur, because I remember everything that we had to do in the show. Now, when it got to me, and when it was leading up to you, my heart was just like doom, 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 doom. Because after every one of my brothers went, I'd be like, oh, one step closer, one step closer, one step closer. And then when it got to me, it was very emotional. I didn't cry, but in my head, I was just like overflowing with emotions, just because, again, like I remember being in interest, being in meetings, talking to brothers, and it was very surreal. And so I remember to this day, my ADP, Jared, and then my dean, they were just like in my face. They was like, "You're ready." I was like, "You ready? You ready? You ready?" And so right before my dean ripped my mask off, he was like, "Bro, I'm proud of you, bro. I love you." And then right after that, he literally yanked it off, and I'm looking at like people are literally in. When it got to me, the gym just got progressively louder.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I look back in videos, people are like standing up off, like people that I don't even know, cheering for me, pulling their phones out. And so, yeah, it was honestly just a great moment.
Mm-hmm.
It was probably, I mean, probably one of the greatest moments in my college career. But I always tell myself this: don't get stuck at the probate.
Mm-hmm.
The work, as my pros tell us, like the work starts now. So I remember that moment. But once you do cross, the work Alpha does start.
Mm-hmm.
Service, being an uplifting member of your community, making sure you handle yourself professionally, and honestly, being a good brother,
Mm-hmm.
being a good, being a good student. You know what I'm saying? So But it was a great moment. That's all.
No, it was. I'm not even. I'm not even gonna lie.
It was a
Like,
great moment.
I was just there in support of my friend who is now a member of the Alpha Phi Alpha.
Yeah.
He's actually Honcho.
Oh, Trevor.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So I was there for him, and even like when you came out, me and you, we didn't even know each other at the time, but I lost my voice. Like literally that entire day, I was just, it was surreal, and I can only imagine how it feels for you.
Yeah.
Cause yeah.
I mean, even on TikTok, I have my own search.
Mm-hmm.
People, I literally, there was like, who is Phil? Before I could even post my video, multiple students making videos being like, guess who this was? Or this is Phil who just crossed. And then I go in the comments, people be like, who is Phil? Like, oh, we love Phil, sending love from Spelman, sending love from TSU.
Mm-hmm.
So proud of you, Phil. Then in the parentheses, I don't even know you. One girl made a video, she was just straight up like, so who is Phil? What's the big deal about him? I was just like, wow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. It was great.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, because I did see a few videos myself, I feel like that you already had a name for yourself, but that day it really like pushed you way further than what you started off as. And that goes into really my next question. Like, I believe that you built a very solid legacy for yourself here on campus. You're not even graduating yet. What's something you've learned about yourself along the way?
I'm more important than what I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I know somebody be like, bro, what do you mean? Like, you one of the top hosts in the nation, like, you alpha, da da da. But I would say just like, I'm more important than what I think, and like, there's more people watching me than what I thought. When I first started, and I think it became more apparent after I crossed, but when I first started hosting, I wasn't really paying attention to like how many people are looking at me, how many eyes are on me, even things. I remember I posted something on my story, and people were talking about it like on side chat. Yeah, I had I had a side chat moment. But just seeing that, I was like, okay, wow, you actually do hold a lot more influence than what you think. People coming up to me. I remember after I crossed, it was crazy. People felt a lot more comfortable like coming up to me. They would be like, "Hey Phil," be like, "How you doing?" And I felt bad because genuinely I didn't know who I didn't know who they were, but they knew me because they felt like they knew me because we see you at the parties, we see you hosting on campus, we see you on Instagram, we see you hosting. I remember recently I was in church, I was in Bible study, and by myself. It was actually my first time going last week by myself, and I was just going through something. I was like, I need to go to church, and a girl, she was late because she was rushing and she seemed a little flustered. She walks past the aisle, and she sees me. She instantly stops, and she's like, "Somebody sitting here?" I'm like, "No." And so it gets to a part in the Bible study. They're like, it's call and response, like just turn to your neighbor and say how you're doing. So I turned to her, and she's like, "Yeah, I would ask your name, but I've already seen you on stage." I was like, "Oh," and then again, I was like, Cookout, the one near campus, and I go to pay for my food. He opens the window. He don't even say nothing to me. The first thing he say, he don't even ask my name or nothing. He's like, "It's my turn," like what I said in probate. And so stuff like that is like, wow, okay, people really do pay attention to who I am. You talk about legacy. I don't. So I don't too much think about my legacy because like eras come and go, right? So, for example, I mean, I'm here now. I've had my 4 years here, and I'm class of what's the next class next year? Class of 30, right? They're gonna be the next class that sees me, and they're gonna be the last class that remembers me. And then in the next 4 years, there's gonna be a whole different cycle of students. We're gonna have the new Mr. A&T, new SGA president, a new host because hosting here is there's like actually a lineage of hosts and lineage of hosts from BE at that. And so I don't really too much think about legacy. I probably should think about it a little bit more, but I don't too much think about it just because my time here is going to be up. and I can't be here forever. But I will say, as far as legacy, though, what I do think about it periodically, and I'll say this: I just want to be remembered as somebody. He was a good brother. He was a good friend. He was a good student. And as far as hosting aspect, any event that me and my friends, me and my homegirls went to, or do any event me and the guys went to, we had fun and we laughed.
Mm-hmm.
And as well as somebody could say, I remember the day I failed a test, but when I went to an event that Phil hosted, it made me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I care about. I don't care about, even though I do have a few accolades that other people haven't accomplished, I don't really care about too much the accolades, because accolades can be broken.
Mm-hmm.
But my biggest thing is people are always going to remember how you made them feel. You know, Phil was nice to me. When I came up to him, he was hospitable. Whenever he hosted, I remember one time, he hosted, he pointed me out in the crowd. He said something good about me, so that's what I care about.
Mm-hmm. That's good. You kind of answered my next question, so I'm going to just ask this one. For those students who want to build a name for themselves on campus and don't really know where to start, what's your biggest advice to them?
Building a name. So I think about this, right, because people come up to me, they want to host. You got people with clothing brands and stuff like that. So don't be so worried about payment. My first year, last year, my sophomore year, when I started hosting, it was like this. I barely charged, because all I cared about was getting my name out there, building my portfolio. Like, and even now, I still don't necessarily charge. A lot of my money I make from hosting is like my show, um, with the school, because that's like a job. So I get a paycheck for that. It's my show, and then off campus. So on campus, I don't necessarily charge like that, because it's like student organizations. So you never know people's budget, but also because for me, it's about building that portfolio. So I have a videographer. So how I do it is like this, and it worked. Verge, for example. Now I'm be real, I did charge y'all.
Mm-hmm.
But Verge, for like, let's say Verge, for example. If I didn't charge y'all, even though I'm gonna still do it, even though I did host the event, get my videographer to come, he films the event. He gets clips of me hosting, clips of the crowd, clips of y'all doing y'all thing. I then forth go on, I post that. When I post it, what is that? That's proof that I hosted it. And that's proof that, especially when he gets a picture of the crowd, I mean a video, a clip of the crowd, that's proof that, he can, because y'all are gonna pack out Harrison. Y'all, you know that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like, wow, he can handle 500, however much Harrison can hold. He can hold a really big crowd.
Mm-hmm.
So then whoever wants to book me, or when I go to be like, and I ask people to book me, they're gonna be like, well, where's your proof? Go to my page.
Right.
Like, oh wow, you hosted Verge, you hosted COP fashion show, you hosted Word Fair, you hosted a few corporate events. So my biggest thing to people is, you gonna have to do things pro bono sometimes when you first starting out, to build that name, build that validity, build that credit to your brand, or whether you want to host, whether you want to do clothes, lashes, makeup, because when they see that, oh wow, you're actually good at what you're doing, then people are gonna be like, okay, this is a service I want to pay for.
Before we wrap up, let's have a quick fire round.
Okay.
Just say the first thing that comes to your mind after each question.
Okay.
Dream event to host.
Honk. It's like 3 actually. I'm not gonna lie, I gotta be real. Step show, concert, pet rally. Was 4. Tailgate. And then it was something else too. Oh, beyond A&T, I want to be like a tour host for artists, and then I also want to host maybe like, well, not maybe, something like R&B only, which my profile does, or like trap karaoke. That's like a big goal, to be able to be attached to like a hosting, like a touring company. So yeah.
Hopefully, you can get those very soon.
Absolutely.
What's your dream co-host or guest?
Drake to interview or host the tour, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then actually host with Chico Bean.
Hmm.
Yeah, funny
Okay.
guy, and he's alpha.
Okay.
Yeah, and he a DMV native.
Shout out DMV.
Yeah.
I'm a DMV native.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. What's your go-to hype song before a show?
All there, Jeezy.
Period.
Yeah.
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 Love Jeezy. One word to describe you right now.
Handsome. Nah, I'm playing. Charismatic. It's one word, so I can't say it.
Okay. If your life had a theme song, what would it be?
Headlines by Drake.
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Well, thank you so much for coming through.
Sure.
You really are the voice of A&T, but
Thank
today you reminded everybody that there's purpose and passion behind your voice.
Thank you.
Of course. Before you go, tell the people where they can keep up with you, with your socials, upcoming events, and all that.
Thank you. First off, I'm gonna say this. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course.
I remember you emailing me, and so I've seen the show before,
Mhm.
so I was like, this is something I definitely want to do. And honestly, you're doing a really good thing.
Thank you.
Just keep it up.
Thank you.
Don't ever stop.
Thank you.
Don't ever stop.
Okay.
Consistency is key.
Mm-hmm.
As far as where y'all can find me, it's Phil Got It on Instagram with 2 underscores, so PHILGOTIT with 2 underscores, and that's also my TikTok and that's my Instagram, as well as posting episodes on there from my show with the school, and then as well as like any independent stuff I do, whether it's hosting my events or something where I actually interview somebody by myself. And then we got coming up Verge, hosting a Verge show November 18th. November 18th, so that's next week. And then as well as Train Like Alpha, November 19th, literally the day after. They're both in Harrison. And yeah, we got a lot of great things coming this year, and I'm very excited for spring semester. So yeah.
Yeah, period. That is a wrap on this episode of Campus Clutch. Make sure you follow on Campus Clutch Podcast on Instagram. Stream this episode everywhere and keep it clutch, Aggies.
For sure. We out.